Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Antisocial Commentary, where we do commentary and we watch the movie with you. So today, we're going to be watching the Shawshank Redemption. I got this DVD right here. It is 2 hours, 22 minutes long, according to the duration that it says on the screen in front of me here. And I will be pushing play on the movie the same time that I push play on the timer right there. So let's start episode 1, The Shawshank Redemption. Here we go. Okay, we're going to push play in 3, 2, 1, play. All right, here we go. The timers are an exact match, and right now, the song playing is If I Didn't Care by the Ink Spots. Solid tune. And there we have the Godfather himself right there, Tim Robbins, yeah. And right now the credits are given her. We got Morgan Freeman and the Shawshank Redemption. Here we go, baby. Here we go. I want to dedicate this podcast to my grandmother, Doris. She loved this movie as far as like movies go. She loved this movie, and we watched this movie a countless number of times. So right now, I'm doing the introduction to Andy Dufresne. And he's drinking. His wife's cheating on him. I think a lot of guys have been there before in regards to, infidelity and shit like that. So there's always something to relate to when it comes to this movie. That's the beauty and the essence of this movie. Those hands right there are actually Frank Darabont's hands, because he wasn't quite sure that Tim Robbins would be able to do exactly what he wanted to see on the camera right there. So right now, Frank Darabont his hands are the ones opening that bottle of Rosewood whiskey. There we go. We got the first line of the movie going to Jeffrey DeMunn. Like, what an honor, right? What an honor to be Jeffrey DeMunn and have the first line to one of the greatest movies of all time. That part, I'll see you in hell. Whew, yeah, that one's epic. Like, there's nothing worse than going to court and you tell the truth and nobody believes you. There's nothing worse than that. So, like, I've been there, got framed. That's just the way life goes sometimes. But similar circumstances too, dude. I got cheated on, and I got framed because I got cheated on. That's why I love this movie that much more, But yeah, what an honor Jeffrey DeMunn has to have the first line in this movie. And it's one of the greatest movies of all time. And of course, Jeffrey DeMunn has also been in other Frank Darabont movies, the director of this movie being Frank Darabont. Like Jeffrey DeMunn was in The Green Mile and The Mist, and also like The Walking Dead, which was also produced by Frank Darabont. So he's a legend. And he does so well in this opening scene as the 1947 DA, I believe it is. Poor old Andy getting framed here, dude. I'm always so captivated by this movie. And right now, I haven't slept since yesterday at 4 p.m. and it's 11 a.m. right now. So I apologize if I'm a little bit tired right now, but the fact that they can't find Andy's gun anywhere, that leaves everything open to like a fresh interpretation of however you want to put it. Like, did Andy kill his wife and his wife's lover? That's up to you. That's up to you, the viewer. Like, I know later on in the movie, well, we'll get to that later. I always feel like that bottle shouldn't have smashed so easily. That bottle of Kentucky Rosewood bourbon whiskey. Roger Deakins is the director of photography on this movie, and he's a genius when it comes to working with light. Like, he plays with different kinds of lighting in this movie, and it works so freaking well with this movie. This is the part where the DA cements Andy as possibly a cold-blooded killer because he had to reload the weapon if it was him who possibly murdered his wife. I'm still going to go with the theory that he was framed. That makes the movie that much more beautiful to me, and it really, really relates to me being framed. And Frank Darabont wrote the screenplay. It just gave the shout out right there. Frank Darabont actually wrote this screenplay, and not originally, actually, Rob Reiner wanted to buy this movie from him. I'll explain that in a bit. Oh, this judge is actually from Kitchener, Ontario, and he is so fucking awesome as the judge in this movie. Andy looking at the screen here, breaking the fourth wall. So epic. Wow. And the sound effects of the gavel hitting the fucking, and the judge reading his verdict at the same time. And then the transition into Morgan Freeman going to the parole board to explain that, I'm rehabilitated, sir. Such a fucking awesome movie, dude. So, quite obviously, Morgan Freeman has like the coolest voice ever when it comes to narrating movies. He gets to narrate this movie, and he has narrated like War of the Worlds and stuff like that. And honestly, Morgan Freeman's voice is a huge reason why my grandmother, Doris Kipling, loves this movie so much. Okay, that picture of Red as a young man there, that's actually his son. I can't remember if it's Alphonse or Alfonso. I think it's Alphonse Freeman, and that's actually his son in this movie. And the cool thing about that is that his son actually has two roles in this movie, and I'll point it out to you in a bit here when we get to that. Yeah, a lot of these actors, a lot of the extras in the background, they're like fresh extras every scene. There has been a documented 180 plus extras in this movie. And right now everybody's asking Red for cigarettes and stuff like that. And the beauty of Red is that Red does not smoke cigarettes. So there's something pure about the way Red is perceived in this movie. Excuse me. But yeah, that narration that Morgan Freeman does before they started filming the movie, or while they were filming the movie, Morgan Freeman did a rough edit of his voice for the scenes that he was supposed to narrate and stuff like that. And before scenes, people would listen to Morgan Freeman's rough copy of his audio narrating the movie. So I think another thing that made his narration for this movie so excellent and prolific is the fact that he got to practice before he got to do the final version. And the first original version, okay, first of all, like this scene with the fucking helicopter over the prison, so great, so great. But yeah, the first version of the narration that he did was actually like in a like a low budget trailer, and there was like hiss back and stuff you could hear outside of the trailer. So they had to redo it later, but they used that narration Morgan Freeman did in that trailer as a way to inspire the actors in this movie, which is like a really cool technique that Frank Darabont used in order to gain more perspective for each of his characters in this movie. Like, we'll listen to Morgan Freeman's voice before we do this scene. Here we go. Oh, and we got the introduction of Clancy Brown. Hadley. Clancy Brown is so fucking good in this movie. Clancy Brown, of course, has been in Highlander. Clancy Brown, of course, has been in Pet Sematary 2. Clancy Brown has been in that movie with Sean Penn, Bad Boys. So Clancy Brown actually has prior experience to playing a role in the prison movie system universe, right? And he's such a hard ass in this movie. Clancy Brown is like, I mean, there's only a couple of characters that can be your favorite, right? But like, if I had to go in order, it would be Andy Dufresne, and then Red, and then Hadley. Those are my top 3 favorite characters in this movie. But there are a lot of good characters in this movie. Like when they're betting on which prisoners go to crack, you have William Sadler. He got to play, what is it? He got to play Death in Bill and Ted's like Bogus Adventure and stuff like that. And of course, in the Frank Darabont universe, you have William Sadler playing the father in The Green Mile. I was laughing at Morgan Freeman's awesome voice. First time I laid eyes on Andy Dufresne. Right. I have something of a joke building up with that, but I don't know really how to phrase it, where it's like Red being like just a sadistic psycho killer is the bit, where it's like, first time I saw Andy Dufresne, I thought he was a tall drink of water, and I was going to drink him up and beat the fuck out of him, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a bit that I'm working on, and I'll have it prepared when I go on stage next time, though. And this part where they're all marching the same line, connected to the same chain. Yeah, man, that's how they break you. And of course, here comes what the heck's his name? Gunton. Give me a second here. Oh, I can't remember his freaking name. Bob Gunton. Yeah, I got that right then. Yeah, Norton the Warden, right? Cool thing about Norton the Warden that I always liked was he reminded me of my friend's dad. One of my friends growing up, he reminded me of my friend David's dad. Just like the nice parts, just like the nice righteous Christian parts, not like the corrupt parts, but like the parts where the warden seems cool. That's how my friend's dad reminded me. The cool parts, not the corrupt parts. It's just it's a respect thing, you know. When Hadley hits that guy in the gut with his baton, awesome. Discipline and the Bible. Welcome to Shawshank, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Shawshank. God, this is such a great movie. Made in 1994. In 1994, it was actually a huge box office disaster and flop because they spent like 25 million, I believe, making it, and when it went to theaters and stuff like that, they only made like 16 million. And then, of course, when the Shawshank Redemption got its VHS release, that's when people started to notice its beauty. And one of the cool things that Frank Darabont has mentioned about the Shawshank Redemption is that it's like a Rorschach ink blot. It's like the Rorschach ink thing there. Like you resonate, like you you relate to what you want to see in this movie to a certain extent. I relate the most with being framed and just wanting that redemption. And yeah, I'll share some more later. But yeah, here we go to the first night. Morgan Freeman has his money on Andy Dufresne about to pop for the first night. And of course, if you've seen this movie before, I'm assuming you've seen this movie before. If you're watching it with me, first of all, thank you. But if you're watching this with me, I'm assuming you've seen this before. Oh, here's where they show the creek at the beginning, the creek that Andy escapes into, the exterior of the prison there. That's where Andy actually makes his escape later. Spoiler alert. I guess I should have started the movie with that. But this part kind of shows Red's integrity, so to speak, because Red doesn't actually taunt anybody. Like, he's not, taunting his horse that he chose to bust the first night, right? He's not like, Andy, tall drink of water, tall drink of water. He's not mocking him or anything like that. So Red has a certain purity in this movie. I love this part. It's really human nature, total human nature, you know? They're trying to take an inch but take a mile, kind of thing. Total human nature. The way they go fishing for somebody to pop in this movie. I love this part with William Sadler because this leads to some character development on William Sadler's part. Haywood. Watching Sadler taunt fat ass. So good. Man, the guy playing fat ass, he does such a good job in this scene. I mean, so does Sadler, but like just fucking perfect, dude. Fresh fish, fresh fish, fresh fish. Aw. I always feel a little bit sad for Fat Ass, but his backstory is open to interpretation, right? Just to make a more empathetic reaction. Like, even in the book, his crime is open to interpretation. Fuck yeah. Clancy's so good in this scene. Like, he's cruel as fuck, but that's the beauty of him playing the guard. Every time he takes off his hat, he kicks ass. Fuck yeah. Oh man, this part's so fucking gruesome. But I love it. Like, look at him. The sounds he's about to make, Fat Ass is about to make. It's so perfect. Like, it makes you feel really fucking just bad for him, you know? Plays it so fucking well. You can see his big belly moving up and down, you know. He's still alive here. Clancy Brown steals the scene in that right there, right? And that's like one of his main moments to shine in this movie for sure. So good and so cruel too. You know what I mean? Stephen King universe. Of course, this could be cruel. That's what I love about Stephen King's writing. It's very unapologetic. Cost Red 2 packs of cigarettes. Well, here we are at the first morning. Prison gates opening up. I love the look of animosity that Red gives Andy. Like, you cost me 2 packs of cigarettes, you asshole. Yeah, my grandmother loved Morgan Freeman in this movie. And yeah, like I grew up watching this movie with her. Like, must have watched this movie with her like 10 times. Love you, Grandma. A lot of the same extras that that are used in this movie. I mean, no, a lot of the same background characters that are used in this movie are in other Frank Darabont movies. I can't remember the sister's name there. I think his last name is like Rolston. I think it's like Mark Rolston or something like that. And he's in like the movie Rush Hour with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker there. He plays one of the FBI agents. And yeah, in this movie he is just spot on. Frank Darabont, great director, you know, without Frank directing so perfectly. And there's James Whitmore, Brooks. Love Brooks, man. But the dark side of Brooks, dude, I'll talk about that in a second here. That maggot that Andy is handing Brooks, right now it's alive. And then they switch to a dead maggot when they feed Jake the crow. Now the maggot's dead. The reason they did that was, animal cruelty and stuff like that. So, like, humane society folks decided that they should switch it with a dead maggot opposed to a live maggot because it wouldn't be good for a live maggot to be eaten like that, right? Obviously. Oh, and the guy that just spoke there, that was that dude from, he actually has a role in Seinfeld where he has a big bag of candy and Jerry, Kramer, and him go to the movies and he starts recording the movie and stuff like that. It's funny. Fucking love Seinfeld. I'm trying to block that as much as I can there. I didn't mean to have the reflection. I love the gloating that what you call it, Sadler does here. That guy Tyrell, he actually plays a character in The Green Mile where he's talking to Tom Hanks, the older version, basically, the older version of Tom Hanks, where he's like, where do you go for your walks at night? Very good actor. Love this part. Sadler's so good there, dude. Because like you can see William Sadler just instantly have character development because you can tell that by betting on Fat Ass and then Fat Ass getting the fuck beat out of him and then dying. Like Sadler, you could see his character develop instantly just from that. Oh, and here comes Rolston there, one of the sisters. Can't remember the sister's name here, but have to be human first, right? somehow, Rolston, the main sister there, somehow he's only the second creepiest character in this movie. Hard to get. I like that. And here's where some of the work of Roger Deakins, I believe his name is. Let me make sure I got that right because he's so fucking good. Yes, Roger Deakins is the director of photography. And you can start to see some of his light work coming into action here. Like in the background, you can see the green trees. And throughout the entire film, there's a like a metaphor for everything outside of Shawshank being the grass is greener on the other side, which is awesome. Try to hide that picture there, but oh yeah, Morgan Freeman in this scene where he's playing catch with like Haywood and all that. Lawyer fucked me. But yeah, this scene here where Red is talking to Haywood, playing catch. It was actually taken in 9 hours. But yeah, Morgan Freeman was playing catch for 9 hours, and he actually had to wear a sling the next day. Now here's where Andy exposes his idea. You know, he kind of shows that he wants to break out of prison here. But they wrote it well enough that when you see the rock hammer later, they're like, oh yeah, he's not going to be able to break out of prison with this. So yeah, notice how all of Andy Dufresne's interests inside of the prison are all part of his plan to escape. Like he's looking into the geology of the rocks and how to maneuver a way to break them and shape them in order to eventually tunnel out. Boggs, that's who Rolston plays. Boggs. I like to joke that if I ever, get locked away for a long time, that I would be the guy, that I'd be the guy, doing the, instead of, and never mind, it's a bad joke. It's a bad joke, but I'll tell it on stage some other day, I promise. Just to make people laugh. That's how I roll when I'm on stage. Anyway, at least, I love it. Anyways, let's talk about this movie. In a way, Andy plays Red here just a little bit by making fun of the rock hammer. Like, you'll see when you see the rock hammer, like. Red's awesome. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Red's son, Morgan Freeman's son in real life there. Oh wait, name's Red. This part is a shout out to the book. Maybe it's because I'm Irish. Like, that part is a shout out to the book because in the book, Red is supposedly a white Irish guy. And when Rob Reiner wanted to buy this film from the screenplay from Frank Darabont, I think he wanted like Robert Redford to play Red or something like that, and then Tom Cruise to play Andy. But yeah, the second role that Alfonso Freeman had was the guy who was fresh fish reeling them in when the prisoners are walking into the prison from earlier. Forgot to mention that. I just got so into the movie. Red's connection, sneaking in the rock hammer. It's awesome. I got a couple of family members who are prison guards, and like surprisingly, like they always find a way. Like prisoners always find a way to sneak contraband in. They always find a way to sneak in cell phones. They always find a way to sneak in drugs and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of my family members who are in as prison guards had to experience shit like that. So good old Brooks with the books. I like how Brooks is Red's transportation system for the items that he gives, and he bribes Brooks with some cigarettes. Hell yeah. Yeah, I don't know if the number was there yet, but I think it was like 237 was the cell number that Red has, and that number is a shout out to Stephen King and The Shining, because that number is the same hotel room in The Shining where that lady is, where Jack sees that ghost lady in The Shining. So it's a shout out to the Stephen King universe there. And here is where you see Roger Deakins' light come into play. Notice how things get just a little bit darker every time Andy is almost raped. I mean, like, not only by mood, but like by colors and, just lighting temperature. Oh man, this part's intense, dude. Yeah, the thing about the, Boggs and, him beating up Andy and stuff like that. Do we really know if Andy was ever raped? Again, that is open to interpretation. And here comes the music, dude. The music is so fucking awesome in this here. What the? Who does the music in this movie here? I don't know. Yeah, I don't see it. Oh wait, music by Thomas Newman. Perfect choice for the music here. Yeah, I love how they make this movie happen over a span of 19 years. In the book, I believe it's like 27 years or something like that. And also the book compared to the movie. The book is called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption, and then the movie's called The Shawshank Redemption. But the reason they changed it to The Shawshank Redemption instead of Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption is because of the confusion. When they announced this movie as Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption, there was just a high amount of women showing up to casting to ask to play Rita Hayworth, which is why they decided to remove the confusion and just call it The Shawshank Redemption. And this rooftop scene is awesome there. You can see the grass is greener on the other side when you look outside of Shawshank. Fun fact about this scene, it was plus 40 Celsius out on the rooftop there, which is like, I don't know, like 100 degrees Fahrenheit or something. And they're all dressed in like really thick wool kind of costumes. So apparently this scene was really grueling, like just hot, and like, you know, that hot mess feeling you get when it's like just really hot. Apparently this scene was like that to film for all of the actors involved. So when you see them stressing over how hot it is, that's real. That's realistic. 100% reality. I love this part. I mean, I love every part in this movie, so I'm going to say that quite a bit. And I'll also say that this movie's beautiful a lot. But this rooftop scene, though, where Andy and Hadley have their first real go at it in regards to acting together. So clever. Love how he's about to kill Andy. And the money talks, baby. You can keep the 35,000 if you listen to Andy. So right here, I had to look it up. They actually used wires and safety precautions for the actors. I mean, obviously that's smart, but the way they did it, though, it looks authentic. Like, you know, looks real. Without, it looks like they don't have any fucking wires on them. It was kind of like edited out in post. Fucking rights. Ball washing bastards. That's totally how those lawyers are, dude. The thing about lawyers and, like, you know, like defense attorneys and then fucking crown attorneys is like, the defense attorneys are in it for the money, so they're corrupted by the money. If you pay more money to a defense attorney, they will be corrupt enough for you to try to get you right off the hook. The more money you pay, the more corrupt they'll be for you. And as for the crown's fucking like motive is to get that. If you go to trial with the crown, their like main incentive is to get the conviction so that they get the higher percentage. And all of their life, the crown, you know, typically they're those kiss ass types where they fucking just, they're trying to get the A+ and all that stuff. So when it comes to the crown doesn't care about the truth. The crown cares more about the conviction and the percentage of convictions that they have than the truth. And that's why the system, a system where a defense attorney and a crown attorney are divided against one another, it doesn't work, you know? I'm just reflecting about the time that I shared the truth with the crown and the crown didn't care. Like that Mr. Nervous thing, dude. I was like, I showed Mr. Nervous the proof that I was framed. And then he waved it off. Oh man, I fucking hate crown attorneys sometimes. But yeah, this part on this. I'm sorry to go off track here, but this part on the roof there, where they're all drinking and they feel free, and is just a glimpse of the redemption that happens throughout this movie. Andy not drinking, right? The way Morgan Freeman says Andy did it to feel normal or whatever. Like, that's like him taking back a little bit of his humanity and helping out his brothers inside of this ill situation that they've been thrust upon through whatever, right? Sorry, I was just captivated by. I just love this movie. I like this part where they, you know, initiate that they are building a friendship. The way Andy says, "I'm innocent," right? Like it's an inside joke. That again leaves it open for interpretation. Did he kill his wife? Did he kill his wife's lover? And then Red's integrity and purity, where he says that he's the only guilty man in Shawshank. That part's awesome. Yeah, the chess pieces and the rock hammer and stuff like that. They're like memorabilia from the movie. Like people have recreated the rock hammer and the Bible and stuff like that, and like sold it as like a novelty memorabilia item for the Shawshank Redemption, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And a lot of the rock hammer scenes, a lot of them, like this part right here, just switched to Frank Darabont's hands. There was an argument that it would be dangerous for the actors to, the actor Tim Robbins to, use the rock hammer like that or something like that. But Frank wanted to make sure his hands moved in a specific way. I love how they have a movie scene in the Shawshank Redemption that is a lot like the movie scene in The Green Mile. So beautiful. Yeah, when they were doing casting for this movie, what you call it, they gave Morgan Freeman a list of actors to play Andy, and he was like, him, Tim Robbins, him. And here's where, yeah, of course, Andy asks Red for Rita Hayworth. Everything that he asks Red for, and everything like the warden gave him, like the Bible and stuff like that. I love how it all adds up to the redemption later. We'll talk about that later. And look at how the lighting changes again. Like when the sisters take Andy into the real room. The real room is nice and darkly lit. And I believe they do that on purpose. But the beauty of this scene is that Ralston doesn't realize that he's signing his own death warrant coming up here. Well, not death warrant, but you'll see in a second here. But like, yeah, the beauty of it is that like Ralston is digging his own dark fate here by harming Andy Dufresne. Sorry, this part's awesome. The way Andy's just like spewing out those medical facts that he read about. Fucking love that. I love it when he calls him an ignorant fuck for not knowing how to read that well. But yeah, of course, Boggs beating the fuck out of Andy here. That's Boggs' downfall right here. The beginning of the end. So at first, he has to spend a week in the hole. And then when he gets out of the hole, you can kind of see like a relief in him. He thinks everything's going to be okay. And then all of the horror that he's been dishing out for the beginning of this movie. He's about to get his comeuppance right here, dude. The hat comes off. And here comes the ass kicking. Even though like a big part of me is happy that Boggs gets his comeuppance, another part of you has to feel just a little bit sorry for him, just a little bit, for how helpless and hopeless his situation is. But at the same time, there's like a redemption that happens here when Boggs leaves. You know, that redemption is that the prison becomes just a little bit safer without Boggs trying to fucking rape everybody. And then I like Haywood's look right there, smirking away that Boggs, got taken away. And of course, after that brutal ass-kicking scene with Boggs, Stephen King, Frank Darabont, they give us a little bit of comic relief right here. It's fucking funny right here. Where Haywood thinks he has a really nice rock for Andy. Horse apple. When he breaks the horse shit. Reminded me of something Joey Diaz said in Joe Rogan Experience. Joe Rogan, which call it with Tom Segura, Joey Diaz, and Joe Rogan, episode 1000. Something that Joey Diaz said about shit when it breaks open and you could smell it. Yeah, it reminds me of that because Haywood breaks open the horse apple and smells the shit. Rita Hayworth. Andy still scarred up from the beating the sisters gave him. But it's nice to have friends, He's got Red, Haywood, that whole crew. Giving him a fresh batch of rocks to turn into chess pieces. And of course, Rita Hayworth. Now, during this part, the warden always comes off sincere and almost nice in this part, Cheers. Took the label off. Yeah. But yeah, here's your one of the first plot holes. Odds are they would have taken down that poster. And as far as Andy keeping the same cell for about 19 years, typically they change cells up at least in this day and age, as far as like, this is from 1947 until 1966. So maybe back then they didn't change cells, but there's always the plot hole of like, the warden should have tore down that poster, and the plot hole that Andy should have been switching cells so that he wouldn't be able to tunnel out, but we're just gonna pretend that it's not a thing. Andy learning the Bible is just one of his hobbies that he gets really good at in order to play the system. Like, the first thing that the warden gave him was the Bible, right? So Andy is using that to play Warden Norton, which is just brilliant writing. Bravo, Stephen King. And bravo, Frank Darabont, for such a excellent adaptation. Excuse me. Yeah, the costume designer is so... She's awesome. I can't remember her darn name. Let's see if she's on the back of this thing here. Maybe not. I don't see it right now, but yeah, like the lady who did the costume designs and shit like that, like solid costumes. And I'm of course talking about the warden's glasses. The warden's glasses being all round like that remind me of the writer from Unforgiven. His judgment cometh, and that right soon. It's awesome. Yeah, you can tell that the warden has a plan for Andy, and yeah, it's awesome. I love how Jake's all grown up now, the crow. Yeah, Brooks is so sweet, dude. Brooks is so sweet, and like what they don't tell you in the movie is that Brooks killed his wife and daughter. And honestly, if they were to have told the audience that Brooks killed his wife and daughter, then Brooks definitely wouldn't have been as sweet as he comes off. So it was a good choice for Frank Darabont to kind of keep that hidden. So Brooks has been there since 1905, and right now I think we're in like the 1950s. Because in a couple of years, Brooks gets his parole. And this, of course, is the part where the guards start using Andy's resourceful mind. As I've always told my kids, whenever I could, I've always told them that, hey, stay in school, get yourself some diplomas and certificates, because that is like real estate for your brain that you could sell to other people by working for them to, like, for example, here, Andy has the knowledge of banking and brilliant at paperwork and the technical aspect of, you know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, stay in school, kids. You don't want to be, like me. But yeah. I always tell my kids to stay in school and get that real estate that you can sell as part of your mind, right? In a certificate. So, Mr. Deakins. Wow. Roger Deakins. That's the director of photography, and that's the character's name, Deakins, right? Do you want your son to go to Harvard or Yale? Harvard if it's law. Yale if it's like a business kind of thing, maybe. I love that the character Andy is too smart. You know what I mean? Like, character Andy knows that he's the warden's pet. Excuse me. See this part right here. The warden seems like such a nice guy, right? Like when he says the more walls, more guards part, like that's realistic. But this part kind of gives hope to the characters a little bit. Like, I'll even mail the letters for you, Andy. So that part makes Warden Norton seem like he might be a cool guy overall. Sorry. It's just Morgan Freeman's voice always captures my attention. Yeah, this part where Andy's doing the taxes, it's awesome. Yeah, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I've been up since yesterday. I'm pretty tired, but I fucking love this movie, and I wanted to do this episode now, today. And here's some character development for Brooks. Notice how Brooks was always smiling and almost cheerful until now. Man, the character Andy is so smart. Like the way he says Brooks's name and the way he says Haywood's name, just kind of like reminding him of humanity as he's trying to negotiate Brooks down off of that murderous possibility that could have happened, right? Without Andy there, he might have actually killed Haywood, right? I love how Morgan Freeman's like, "What'd you do?" But then, like, the shocking twist is that he has his freedom in the making, right? For his parole coming through, and that's what set him off, right? It's another darkly beautiful part of this movie right here. Institutionalized. So it must be 1955 in this movie. If Brooks came to Shawshank in '05. Morgan is so passionate right here, man. So good. The guy from Seinfeld. That one episode. I'm sure more of these actors have been in episodes of Seinfeld, but that one guy stands out the most to me. That part's so epic. And poor Brooks has to say goodbye to Jake. I wonder how many times James Whitmore practiced that. Go on, Jake, you're free. And notice how Brooks's smile is gone right now. Right at the beginning, he's smiling all the way. And then, as soon as he finds out that he has to go, he has to leave the only life that he knows, which is inside the prison system. That's the only life he knows. And notice everybody in this scene where Brooks is on the bus, everybody's like looking away from Brooks. Nobody notices Brooks. Just to like make his character convey that much more loneliness. And this narration that Whitmore gets to do as Brooks, so good. He's talking about how he never saw an automobile since he was a kid, but he was in the Shawshank prison and he would see people being transported into the prison. So I'm sure he has seen, other vehicles. But yeah, so far not a smile on Brooks's face. Aw. Aw. Poor Brooks. The way he goes to feed the birds because he's lonely. Oh, misses his bird, Jake. All that freedom, right? I mean, that's a scary thought, to be like scared of freedom. Oh, Brooks is so sweet. He's talking about the shooting the manager. And another sweetness of Brooks is that he's packing his bags. Now here comes a very symbolic moment with Brooks. There's like rafters or whatever above, like on the roof, And there's like these like wooden things that resemble bars, right? And if you watch Brooks closely, he hasn't smiled since he got out of prison. But when Frank Darabont shows Brooks behind those wooden bars, right here, he smiles for 1 second. Right here. Signifying that Brooks's happy place is behind bars. And of course, Brooks's feet hanging here. Brooks was here. It's amazing how something so dark can be beautiful at the same time. And his friends, the only people that care about him, locked up on the inside, are the ones reading his suicide note. Morgan Freeman's just devastated there, man. And then he's a little bit of that comic relief, as far as all the books and letters all the letters that Andy wrote. The state is finally paying that off, so it's kind of a somewhat uplifting moment after that darkly beautiful moment where we lost Brooks. Brooks, yeah. Brooks was here. So was Darren. I can't remember. There's a guard that Andy's talking to right now inside the warden's office. I can't remember. I think, did he play Eddie in CSI? I can't remember, dude. I can't remember. But he's definitely a familiar face, dude. Now, I can't remember this song for the life of me. I have to look it up, I think. Let's see. I hate iPhones. Duettino Cellaria. Good old Mozart. Song and lyrics by Wolfgang Mozart. But yeah. Duettino Cellaria. Haven't played enough early Assassin's Creed to have my Italian down yet. I'll get there. But yeah, the narration that Morgan Freeman is about to do, the cast would listen to that narration before this scene, just to get in the mood. Or so I heard. Even the people in the sick bay are captivated by Duettino Cellaria. Yeah, and we're reaching the halfway point of the movie. Sorry, guys. I'm Morgan Freeman. Just go ahead, Morgan. Notice the metaphor that Morgan Freeman uses about caged birds, because that'll just remember that for later. Yeah, this halfway point is where the warden starts to take his turn into corruption. And this corruption is from understanding that he might not have full control of Andy Dufresne as he rebels in this scene by turning up Duettino Salaria. I like Hadley's taunt. You're mine, Dufresne. Haywood requesting Hank Williams. It's funny. I love this part. I mean, I love this whole movie, and I keep saying that. But this is the part where Andy exhibits a kind of hope, right? That Morgan Freeman, at this moment, because Morgan Freeman is not yet redeemed yet, Morgan can't handle it yet. The first heated disagreement between Red and Andy is about having hope and reason and purpose. And then Morgan feeling like it's a fool's errand to hang on to that hope. Ooh, crushed. Morgan's so good in this scene. You just see his heart ache for Brooks. And this is the second scene where Morgan goes into the parole board and basically tells them what he thinks they would like to hear. For he is not redeemed yet. Excuse me. Sorry, I ate some chicken fingers before this. The beauty of this scene where Red gets his second rejection and talks about being rehabilitated, to me it feels like he's still feeling the pain of when he was talking to Andy, and Andy was talking about hope and how Morgan Freeman's Red's heart broke for Brooks there. The beauty of Andy giving Red his old school, he used to play the harmonica and stuff like that, right? So the beauty of this gift is that it represents glimpses of hope inside of Red. And right now, Red refusing to play the harmonica. Him refusing to play the harmonica is like him still saying no thank you to hope, because he's in a hopeless place within the prison walls. That iconic picture of Marilyn above the vent, what's it called? Yeah, above the vents there with her dress flying up there. Such an iconic fucking picture. I love that movie in the movie The House Bunny, that chick flick comedy, when Anna Faris stands over a bunch of steaming vents and she like burns her legs. That was a funny play on that. And here's where Red plays just a little bit of the harmonica, just one little like 2-second note on the freaking harmonica, showing that Red's redemption is starting to happen slowly, showing that Red is starting to gain some hope in this bleak and dark prison world. Dumbass. Duma. I think that was like Red's first real joke in this movie. Again, showing just glimpses of his hope reigniting very slowly. Now here's where the warden starts to become the corrupt pharaoh, so to speak, metaphorically. So the warden does a really good speech there about how these criminals are going to leave the prison and help build, right? So now here's where the warden starts to really become corrupt here. This part with Bob Gunton, though, it stays in my mind, like the way he sizes up that construction guy there and like stares at his hat. Here comes the stare. Stares him up and down, takes the bribe. Yeah, the beauty of putting what you call it, like the safe behind that Bible quote is actually a metaphor for how the warden is as a person overall. Like the warden is fronting that religious side, but underneath is corruption and, you know, the fraud of Andy cooking the books for all of the bribes that the warden takes and shit like that. And like all of the warden's character can be defined almost by like the fronting religious, the religious front, and then underneath the religious front, the corruption. Like all of the warden's character is that one scene of the religious quote covering the corruption. That's why it works on so many levels. I love Red foreshadowing some possibilities. Randall Stevens. What I like about the name Randall Stevens is, like, you know what I mean? Stevens, the, what you call it? Obvious, like, shout out to Stephen King. But also Randall is a shout out to Stephen King's, like, first book there, the Stand, right? The Stand with Randall Flagg. Randall Flagg, of course, is, like, portraying the devil in The Stand. It's just a cool shout out that the person that Andy invents to hide the warden's money, you know, is a shout out to the author and his first book to a certain extent here. I love Morgan Freeman's laugh there when he was talking about, Andy had to come to prison to be a crook, which is totally realistic, actually, in real life. Like, studies have shown that sending people to a punishment system like prison and stuff like that actually doesn't really divert recidivism. It's more like community service and stuff like that. That helps the prisoner feel like they are a necessary part of the community and society. Whereas, like, if you just lock them away, they're just stewing about. They're not actually having much growth and character development, which can be necessary for, like, pure evil. Like, if you murder somebody and, you know, like, if you take somebody's life away, then, you know, sometimes people have to really think about what they did for a life sentence. It's sad, but yeah, studies have shown that sending people to prison actually doesn't help as much as we initially thought as a society. But Gil Bellows is so fucking good in this movie. Gil Bellows runs a acting clinic out in I think it's like BC, and I have an acquaintance who was in the show Acting Good, who actually got to um, go through the Gil Bellows acting class. But yeah, Gil Bellows as Tommy, so good. And I really like Gil Bellows in I can't remember what the movie's called, but it has Sean William Scott and John C. Reilly. The promotion. I like Gil Bellows in that one. He plays a boss of a superstore kind of supermarket. But yeah, I love the way Andy calls Gil Bellows out on his shit, like throughout the entire Andy and Tommy relationship. The way Andy's like, maybe you should try a new profession instead of being a criminal, right? And then when Tommy pursues the help of Andy, Andy kind of tells Tommy what he needs to hear to a certain extent. The way like Gil asks for help from Andy, and the way Andy's like, I don't waste time on losers. Like I said, that just, to me, that's Andy kind of saying to Tommy what Tommy needs to hear, because like Andy throughout this entire movie is like subtly redeeming these people. Well, I actually have two buddies who are English teachers. One's an English professor and one's like an English teacher. And man, I don't know how they do it. The technical aspect of literary English, tough job. So my respect to all of the English teachers out there. My favorite English teacher, Mr. Bobier. I think he might have retired a long time ago, but he was my favorite English teacher. Sorry, Morgan Freeman again. So it's 1966 already. So yeah, this is the final year that Andy is in prison, dude. Pretty cool. Time. Gil's so good here. Gil is so fucking good in this part, dude. Originally, Tommy was offered to Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt, I think he was just coming off of Thelma and Louise, because at Thelma and Louise, Brad Pitt was suddenly in the spotlight too much to take this movie too seriously, you know? So, like, from what I heard, so that's why the role went to Gil Bellows. But honestly, Gil played it amazingly. It's one of my favorite parts with Gil Bellis. The hell you say? There's no way Andy's a murderer. Now, even though the fact that like Andy's crime is open for interpretation, like there's that idea that maybe he did it. But like, this is the obvious part where I buy into it. I buy into Gil Bellows' character Tommy telling Red and Andy about Elmo Blatch. Now remember when I said Boggs was the second creepiest character in this movie? For me, Elmo Blatch is the fucking creepiest character in this movie. Or if you're watching this commentary, maybe I'm the creepiest character in this movie. But appreciate it if you're watching this. Thank you, by the way. I'll get better at this. But yeah, Gil is such a good actor. Underrated. But I think it's because we both have wicked sideburns, Elmo Blatch. Scariest character in this fucking movie. The remorseless killer. Cackling about the evil deeds he done dirt cheap. Sorry, that's nervous laughter, because that's pure evil right there. Elmo Blatch, that evil son of a bitch. Back then, before Sesame Street, Elmo was actually a popular name. Don't you hear that much now? I would never in a million years name a son of mine Elmo because of fucking Sesame Street. I like how Andy's aging is just like a gray streak in his hair. Warden doesn't really age too much. A little bit grayer, but that's about it. So I was laughing because Andy's about to call. Yeah, he calls the warden obtuse. And I was thinking about the Family Guy episode with the Shawshank Redemption in it. A couple of good bits in there. Yeah, this part right here shows like how Shawshank, like he is the like Exodus, the metaphor of the warden. He's like the pharaoh mistreating Andy because there's a possibility that Andy might be innocent and the warden needs to keep him as his pet. And when Andy does a month in the hole, one of the cool things that Tim Robbins does in real life, one of the cool things is that Tim Robbins asked for the crew. Sorry, I'm captivated. But yeah, Tim Robbins asked the crew to lock him up into solitary confinement just for a couple of hours so that he can get into character. Which is awesome method acting. When Red says well shit there, like that's just another way for Frank Darabont to leave open for interpretation. Do you think the kid passed or do you think the kid failed? And then they tell you here, the kid passed. Fuck yeah. But yeah, this is the part where what's called Tim Robbins asked to be locked up for like 2 hours before filming the solitary confinement scenes, just so that he could get into character, and that has been praised by Frank Darabont as Tim Robbins' dedication to the role as Andy Dufresne. Which, by the way, dude, Tim Robbins should have won an Oscar for this. He should have won an Oscar for this. But Tim Robbins didn't win his Oscar until Mystic River, directed by Clint Eastwood. Excuse me. When he played Dave Boyle in Mystic River. Dave Boyle was... Actually, I won't tell you about Mystic River because we'll watch Mystic River sometime in the future. Notice how the warden walks out of the shadows. The light work in this scene is fucking awesome. The warden is playing Tommy right now by giving him a cigarette outside of the walls of Shawshank. He even starts calling him son. Just totally fucking plays him, dude. I like how his glasses changed. Oh man, Bob Gunton is so fucking... He's the devil here, dude. Poor Tommy. God, that part's... Oh my god. Watch the shadows. The signal was the smoke. Oh my god. No, Tommy. But yeah, the way the shadows worked in this scene, dude, like, that's Roger Deakins to a T right there. Like, Clancy Brown is in the shadows shooting Tommy 4 times, and then he backs up out of the shadows. Like, fuck, that's such good light play, dude. That reaction of the light, like that Tim Robbins does when Hadley opens the door, priceless. This is where we learn the real villain is the corrupt warden. I guess we already knew that a couple scenes ago, but yeah. Fuck. This is so sadistic. wild engines. Or am I being obtuse? Fuck. It's so evil. God, it's so good. So evil. Oh, man. Another month in the hole. He has nothing to hang on to, so he just touches the wall. And right here, we see a broken Andy Dufresne. And this is the part I relate to the most. Because God, did I love her. Fucking loved her so much. This is the scene that Tim Robbins should have won an Oscar for. Darkness can be so beautiful sometimes. And this scene is proof of that. I fucking loved her so much, man. There it is. I was in the path of the tornado. To me, that's like the most beautiful line. You know, just didn't expect the storm to last this long. I really did love her, dude. I really did love her. Only to fucking get framed, dude. That's why I love this movie so goddamn much, dude. Because I know what it's like to be fucking framed, dude. The first mention of Zihuatanejo. Maybe I should go live at the Pacific, you know, just off the coast of the Pacific, because it has no memory. You could just live freely without. Notice. I love when Morgan Freeman says it back to him, Zihuatanejo, huh? But notice how Morgan Freeman, his character, Red, still doesn't want to buy into hope. It's a sad part. Watching Red cave to feeling like Brooks. The internet says that it's open to interpretation if Andy killed his wife or not, and that this part could be possibly a delusion that he needs to hang on to in order to feel like he's in the right for breaking out of prison and stuff like that. But I buy into the fact that he was framed because that's what I relate to. But the internet, you know how the internet is. The $1 million line. Get busy living or get busy dying. Now, this is another plot hole, but you gotta forgive it and just move past it. But the geography of Buxton could be completely different after 19 years in Shawshank. But if you just hop on board and enjoy the ride, then it's beautiful. He's telling his friend how to reconnect with him later. Fuck, they're such good actors, dude. The intensity. And Tim Robbins plays it in such a way that you don't know which way it's going to go. At least the first time you see it, right? Good old Haywood. I love that that dude from Seinfeld, the theater guy with the bag of candy, where he believes that Andy would never kill himself. I love that part. And again with the metaphor of the righteous Bible verse in front of the corruption. The whole fucking movie, Bob Gunton, is like that. Especially right here. Like you might be barking orders at Andy, but right here is the righteous Bible verse front. It's good having you back, Andy. That's his fucking righteous front. But everything his righteous front is hiding, like we just see throughout the movie that he's just a corrupt, evil dude. And when I say that, my friend from a long time ago, his dad reminded me of that. Like, I don't mean the corruption part. I mean, like, he was a religious guy, and he was always really nice to me. And, yeah, like, I respect, respect. I think it's just the way Bob Gunton looks plus the religious part. And then you minus the corruption, and that reminds me of my friend's father. Who, by the way, my dad and I, we played a badminton, game. We won like second place, and my friend Dave and his dad, they won first place. So like I'll always remember that. But my dad and I, we were hard on each other. We were so like my dad Yeah, we wanted to win that father and son thing. We got second place, and Dave and his dad won first place, and we were, kind of argued that day. It was kind of funny, classic father son. But okay, back to the movie here. Morgan Freeman submitting to not knowing what's going to happen with his friend Andy. Notice Morgan's like brotherly love and concern for his friend here. Here's the beginning of Morgan Freeman's redemption. And another open for interpretation moment. When the guard looks into Andy's cell, it's like, oh my god, did Andy kill himself? What's going on? And then you see the shoes, and it's like, oh. And then as soon as you hear that alarm from the prison, as soon as you hear that, you know what's going down. You know that Andy didn't kill himself. Love this part. Bob Gunton does such a good job in this scene. Love how Hadley is looking at that other guard with disdain. Thick as thieves, beautiful idiom. Again, Red's purity and integrity. Red doesn't know what happened. That's why he's like, no, he's telling the truth to the warden, right? There's always something pure about Morgan Freeman, dude. It's awesome. Fuzzy britches. Aw. When the warden's throwing those rocks and Morgan Freeman's like... Family Guy does a really good bit in their Shawshank Redemption episode with the poster. Go check out that episode of Family Guy. But yeah, the face of Clancy Brown, Bob Gunton, and Morgan Freeman in the scene of the tunnel that Andy takes out of prison. Classic. Absolutely fucking classic. The search scene, the searching for Andy scene that they do by the creek here, very similar to the way Frank Darabont does the search scene in The Green Mile. And again, these are Frank Darabont's hands. the juxtaposition of Andy being a banker and breaking out of prison, that crossing that, very brilliant on Stephen King's behalf. Like, just hop on board, get rid of the plot holes there that, you know, his cell probably would have changed, stuff like that. But, like, you know, time plus interest kind of like applies to the way Andy takes his wall out into the prison yard. Andy switching the books. Brilliant. Brilliant writing. Awesome. Morgan Freeman. I'm just gonna let him do this. This part's awesome. I think Tim Robbins is like 6'6" or something like that. And if you notice throughout the movie, they really make him look like he might be the same height as Red. Morgan Freeman. But at this particular scene, you see how much of a giant he is. In the book, Andy Dufresne is like as tall as Tom Cruise, which is why Rob Reiner was like, "Hey, Tom Cruise would be good for, you know, like if he were to have gotten his hand on the script." But Frank Darabont was like, "No, dude, I'll do it," and thank God. And like this scene is a little bit far-fetched, but I mean it's a movie, right? So a lot of the scenes are going to be far-fetched. But what I mean is like breaking through that fucking just like 2-inch pipe or whatever the fuck it is. Like that sounds like the hardest thing. You know what I mean? Like just using a rock to break through that huge fucking pipe, dude. But again, hop on board. It's beautiful. And an interesting fact here, the way the shit pipe is about to burst here. The way the shit pipe fucking bursts. I didn't need to swear there. I don't know why I did that. But the way the shit pipe bursts, in real life, physics says that the shit pipe would only have how am I trying to say this? It wouldn't clear out all the way to the creek, so like the shit pipe would still be full over near the creek. So he'd have to swim through the whole fucking pipe. The whole pipe would be filled with shit, according to physics. But again, just hop on board, man. And for the scene of Tim Robbins climbing through the shit pipe, they actually used cow manure. Like, for real. I like talk about dedication. You know, Tim Robbins was like, give me real cow manure, when they could have just used chocolate milk and brownies. But they used chocolate milk and actual cow manure. That's dedication. Respect, Tim Robbins. Freedom. Love this part. Love the whole movie. I say I love this part all the time, but I love this whole movie. Andy takes his life back. The Shawshank Redemption to take back. Love this part where Andy's cashing the money that he laundered for the warden. If I remember correctly, it's somewhere like, or wait, no, actually, I think Morgan Freeman's about to say it. 370,000. Yeah, $370,000 of warden's money, and basically like $1 million now or whatever, like more than that, but like, yeah, fucking awesome. 1966, $370,000. The world's your oyster. $1966, when being a millionaire meant something. Yeah, notice he took that scripture off of his safe, no longer being able to hide the corruption. And then he fucking finds the Bible rock hammer on Exodus. Exodus means to exit, and Exodus, of course, is setting the people free from the Pharaoh. So the metaphor mixed with this story, beautiful. And Hadley finally gets his comeuppance after being a bully for the entire movie, but Clancy Brown is amazing, though. All that power that Hadley had as the guard, you know? Epic. And of course, Norton grabs the 38, and there's some what you call it, the 38 that the 38 that Elmo Blatch used to kill Andy's wife and lover. It's similar to the 38 that Warden Norton is using right now. It's a pretty reliable gun too, like a revolver. It's hard to jam a revolver. The warden killing himself is a lot like the prisoners take back the prison. You know, the prison is a safer place without the corrupt warden. And little glimpses of redemption throughout the movie, like when Boggs was gone, the prison was a safer place. When when Clancy Brown got arrested there, and they were reading his Miranda rights, which, by the way, he was reading it from a piece of paper. That dude, he was reading it from a piece of paper because Miranda rights were only like invented in like 1966. But yeah, here's the real beauty of the Shawshank Redemption right now, and that is Red is redeemed. Like the whole movie, Andy talks about hope. And then when Andy leaves, it breaks Red's heart. And when Andy leaving breaks Red's heart, that's what redeems Red. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the darkness. His friend leaving and breaking his heart is the reason that Red gets redemption. Missing your friend can do that to you, for real. And that whole, like, some birds aren't meant to be caged thing. That's like playing on earlier when Morgan Freeman was talking about caged birds. Red is rehabilitated now, yes. Cause and effect. Without Andy, Red wouldn't have his redemption. God, that's such a good speech by Morgan Freeman. Parole approved. Hell yeah. Red is redeemed. Meeting the best bro he ever had, Andy Dufresne. And then having his bro talk about hope and hanging on to that bit of, freedom inside of him, and all of the things that Andy inspired with everybody in the prison, from giving them drinks on top of the roof during that scorching hot day, and the library, and Hank Williams to Haywood, and all that stuff. Like, all of that just leads to Andy redeeming these people that are around him. It's like the perfect metaphor. And then Red getting Brooks's old room paves the way for that. Like, what's he gonna do? "40 years locked up." Aw. He almost goes the way of Brooks. Almost. I love the compass and the gun part. they reveal that he bought the compass instead of the gun, giving Red a different future than Brooks's hanging himself kind of thing. Potentially saying that if it weren't for Andy, there's the possibility that Red might have given up on life. Now we're going to Buxton to find that volcanic ash rock that Andy was speaking about. Fun fact about the tree that's about to come up here. Like, there's a tree near where Red finds that letter that Andy wrote. I believe that tree was like struck by lightning in like 2008, and then in 2016 the wind or something finally knocked it over, and all of the townspeople around where this was originally filmed, let's see, I know that the prison was like the Ohio State Reformatorium or whatever the fuck it's called there. Fuck, got that wrong. But like this huge tree that Red is looking at right now, it fell down, and actually like the townspeople from the area of the world there, they all took like little bits and pieces of it as a, you know, like a souvenir and memorabilia of the movie. Some people turned it into furniture, some people turned it into like, I don't know, anything, drumsticks, whatever. Like, it's cool that like just such a beautiful tree, and it's not actually in the book. But I loved how Frank used it for the movie. And Red, hanging on to the hope that his friend left behind, he finds that volcanic ash rock that Andy was talking about. If you can hear that drumming, one of my neighbors is a spiritual native person, and I can hear them singing like classical aboriginal music while beating the drum once in a while. So, but yeah, that tin that Red sees looks like it has like the Titanic on it or something. And like almost like Hansel and Gretel, Andy leaves his little breadcrumbs of hope for Red to follow and pick up along the way. And when he looks at all the money that Andy leaves him, he like has to check to make sure the coast is clear. It's awesome. Zewataneo. Hope. Morgan does that part so brilliantly. It's subtle, but it's like, like prison strong, but at the same time, like, you can see it in his face. So that, like, Morgan, that's like his genius, right? So was Red. That's goddamn right. When Red gets a bus ticket to Fort Hancock, Texas, the movie was originally supposed to end with Red on the bus. Right about here, it's supposed to fade out. That was the original ending of the movie. And then Darabont and crew showed test audiences that ending. And the test audiences basically formulated the consensus that it didn't have enough closure. So they went back and they shot this scene on the beach on the Virgin Islands where Red and Andy reunite in hope and friendship, and they leave it open for interpretation for how they may live happily ever after. In memory of Alan Green. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Shawshank Redemption. We watched the whole movie together. If you watched it with me, I apologize if there was too much dead air, or if I talked over top of, some of Morgan Freeman's brilliant narration or anything like that. But I had fun doing episode 1 of Antisocial Commentary, and if you watched it with me the entire way, thank you so much. I would like to dedicate this commentary part to my grandmother, Doris Kipling. We watched this movie like 10 times together, and even though I'll never show it in my day-to-day life, I love you, Grandma. I really do. Rest in peace, and thank you for watching this movie with me, Grandma, wherever you are. And thank you for watching this movie, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, dude, I loved her so much. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Antisocial Commentary, Episode 1, The Shawshank Redemption. The Shawshank Redemption, 1994, directed by Frank Darabont, starring Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Thank you for watching, everybody. And cut.